Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. My business entity is called Tarot Clarity LLC. And today's video is a continuation of the in the playlist that I've recently begun in How Does Tarot Work? Today's video will focus on aspects of what tarot is and what you can expect from tarot and how it can be used. In addition to the first video that I created entitled Is Tarot Evil? I'd like to mention, in addition to that, when we're discussing how does tarot work, you are the vehicle, right? It works based on your inner mechanics. I can only express to you how it works for me and how I utilize it for myself. I am not an evil or wicked person. For goodness sakes, I'm an ordained non-denominational minister. And so, I certainly don't condone any kind of wickedness or anything like that. But I believe, that if someone has ill intent, that the cards could facilitate that. So although I would not say that tarot in itself is intrinsically evil, because I don't believe so, I believe that it's in its nature set up to remind us of living a good life, a moral life, a kind life. There are always people in every profession who could take something that is intended to be good for society and twist it for their own gain. For today's demonstrations, I want to give a shout out to the deck that I'm using. It's the Ancient Italian Tarot, and it was put out by Lo Scarabeo. It's a beautiful deck, and as a matter of fact, when I gift people with tarot decks, this is usually the deck that I buy for them. This deck gets a lot of use from me. Okay, so what's tarot? Well, tarot is a system of cards. It was originally intended to be a card game, right? So when tarot was first created, and all evidence appears to lead us to the mid-1400s, medieval period of Italy, very Christian. It seemed to be a collection of cards that, in addition to regular playing cards, had additional 22 trump cards, which made the game more interesting, and the opportunity was taken in those 22 additional cards to give us little life lessons or to remind us of virtuous life, right? These cards, contain such things as people, right? We have people. They have suits and numbers. Tarot cards have concepts, ideas. Warnings, right? There's warnings. And reminders to pause and think and reflect. And they also have cards of encouragement. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but I think that if we were to try to determine how many different combinations of cards I might have laid, for these particular 6 cards, that the number would have been astronomical. And so when we, have a deck of 78 cards that represent people and numbers, or in suits, right? And concepts and warnings and reflections and encouragement, their combination can spark us to think of things that we might not have thought of before. Is it fortune telling? I don't know. I don't call myself a fortune teller. I consider myself someone who just I interpret the cards based on what I see and what I feel. I relate it to the individual who's asking the question. And my goal is always to enhance their position, to help them bring about the best possible outcome by allowing them to consider things they haven't already thought of, to maybe change their behavior or modify their behavior, or to look at something in a new way. Sometimes that results in predicting, what's going to happen, but no more so than maybe if you see a child putting their hand on a flame on a stove and you say, don't do that, you're going to burn yourself. That's not fortune telling, because you know from experience that that's what's going to happen to that child. In the same way, the more you read the cards, the more you're familiar with them, the more you understand what they're communicating, it is a little bit easier to express to someone the path. The description of these cards is suggesting that you don't do that, or that you consider this instead. And then when they take that advice, sometimes they get the desired results that they hope to get. And they think of it as, wow, that person, gave me insight into the future. Did I predict the future? No, I didn't. But I helped them facilitate a better future. I hope that makes sense. Now, sometimes, I mentioned in the beginning of this video, sometimes when we use the cards, I think there are our vehicle. So the mechanics of how they work depends on us and what we bring to the table, and how we use them. For me, I learned at a very young age, that I had experiences that other people didn't have. And my parents called me their spooky kid, they're the one that saw something happen, or talk to somebody in the basement who wasn't there, that kind of stuff. And, because it happens, when a person is that kind of person, I think it happens when they're young, and it's more natural for them, for me, in my case. But, you catch on kind of quick that it's not acceptable behavior, or there's something wrong, or you don't like, maybe you should keep quiet about it. And what I learned was that through the cards, I could facilitate, I could channel, I guess, that information that came from every direction. I can't walk into a historic house without picking up the vibe, or I can't walk, in a place, where I later find out there was something violent that happened, because I pick up on it, And when I was younger, there was no way to turn it all off. It was just constant coming in. And with the tarot cards, which I coincidentally, discovered them, I didn't seek them out as a way to channel information. But when they were presented to my life, and I'll include the link down below about how that happened, I really learned that for me, for the rest of my life, they were a way to channel the feelings and the information that sometimes come pouring in. And so I'm able to use the cards, not just to help people facilitate a better possible outcome for themselves, whether they want a job or save their marriage or whatever, but sometimes to help them connect to loved ones who have passed on. I think tarot works beautifully well for that. I don't recommend it for all readers to do that. And, if it's not something that interests you, I don't suggest you do it either. But certainly the cards could be used for that. The cards could be used to help someone, gain insight onto why they behave a certain way. And to do that, it might be helpful to tap into a past life. Now you have to go into this with the belief that it's possible that we all live, other lives prior to our current lives and beyond what we have now. But even if you don't believe in that, sometimes doing past life readings really do, flush out information that help us explain ourselves to ourselves. So there are a number of ways that you can use the cards to facilitate well-being for your client. Now, is that how they work? I don't know how they work. I'll be honest with you. But I know that the cards, do represent lots of, ideas, lots of concepts, lots of places. And, you almost can't miss when it comes to laying the cards. No matter what I say, it's probably, no matter how I interpret the cards, it's probably always going to relate to some aspect of a person's life. Okay? Now, in order to not make it very confusing, and in order to, limit the possible meanings, and I'm not going to shuffle a whole lot here because I don't want to waste time shuffling, but I have a process by which I, mix the cards adequately enough between readings. But I'm going into this particular reading with the understanding to the universe and my higher self that this is just a demonstration reading and it's not for anyone in particular. Although, if it resonates with any viewer who happens to see it, that I hope that it is beneficial and helpful to them. Okay, so how does it work for me? Well, what I do is, I prefer to answer a specific question. I prefer to nail a person down, to ask what they really want to know. In this way, I'm not giving a general reading that could apply to 55,000 different aspects of their lives. I'm trying to nail down the interpretation to answer a specific question. A lot of times people come, they just want a general reading, and that's fine. I'll do a general reading. But why waste it on a general reading? Sometimes the general reading will show them what they need to focus their lives on, or, an area of their life that needs attention. And it's not because the cards are doing that or that the cards have any kind of divine knowledge, but that it taps something in the person's brain. It triggers them to think of something. Maybe trigger isn't the right word, but it prompts them to apply the image of that card or the meaning of that card to a particular area in their life. So, let's see. All right, let's, for the sake of this demonstration, let's not have a particular question. A person comes to me and they have a million things on their mind. Their life isn't going great. Let's face it, most of the time when people come for a reading, life details aren't necessarily always wrapped up real tight, or they're, maybe they're in love and they're happy and they're in a new relationship, and in the back of their mind, they're wondering if a relationship will work out. But this person has come and they don't have any particular question. They just want to see what happens. So for them, maybe we'll lay a few cards. Now, it stands to reason that the more cards you lay, maybe you could say that there's greater insight or there's more to work from. Certainly with a 3-card spread, there's not as many cards to work from. And especially if we don't have any cards from the trump suit, the suit that will give us, descriptive imagery, right? So if the person who came to me happens to be a woman and a woman card falls there, right immediately I would focus on, well, this is the woman in question. The woman is being represented. If the person who's come to me isn't a woman, then this is a woman who figures strongly in that individual's life, right? Not just any woman, but because the woman is accompanied by the suit of coins, although she is looking away, but she's accompanied by the suit of coins. I would say, is there a woman in your life who is not interested in, the monetary aspects of life, or, is there someone who's not impressed by your affluence, or, if this was a gentleman, is there a woman in your life who you're trying to attract or trying to keep? But it doesn't seem like you're doing so well. in that case, I would suggest, well, maybe you're trying to impress her too much. Maybe she's not overly influenced or greatly impressed by shows of your influence, right? Maybe she's more interested in, areas of communication or solid, just behavior or even kindness, So, if the person was a gentleman and he didn't have a particular question, I would ask those questions, right off the bat. You may get, it may be like, yeah, I'm interested in a woman. I don't know if that's the reason why I'm not having success, but that is a thought. That is a possibility, Maybe, with number 4 being a solid number of communication, maybe, she'd rather get to know you better, through your words and your actions rather than, just knowing you on a superficial level. Although she is a woman of means herself, if she's a woman of means, she doesn't need to depend on your means, This would be an example of how you could do a reading without knowing a question. And, and particularly if there is a question or if there is that happening in that individual's life, that he could say, wow, yeah. Now, if this was a reading for a woman, I would glom onto this person, as identifying with the client. And I would say, maybe you've been focused too much on the material aspects of your life or work or worry, about work or income. And now it's time to reshift your focus to something else, something along the lines that I just described in the other reading. So this would be a way that the cards really could relate to anyone, almost anybody who comes before me who were presented with these 3 cards, whether it was a specific question or a general read, could relate these concepts to their lives. Now, when I handle and mix the cards, I don't immediately lay the cards. I will, go into a meditative state whereby I, ask myself when that when the cards are presented to me, that I relate them in the most meaningful way to the person for whom I'm reading. I also focus on don't laugh, I have a vista of tree lines outside of my window, a line of, the height of trees. And I focus on that, plus my familiar, I call her my familiar, my plant, who's out of control over here. And I focus on them because it's nature and it's, part of, I think plants have a life of their own and a wisdom of their own that we don't notice a lot, and I love my plants. I have dozens of plants and I'm surrounded by plants always. And, they have secrets that make them live. And so for that reason, when I meditate and focus on my higher self to interpret the cards with the most meaning for the client, I often focus on the line of trees out of my window or my plants. Okay, so someone is having, it comes and they feel like their life is a mess. Or that's what I would get if I laid these 3 cards. The first thing I would think of, if the client was a woman, was that there is somehow some kind of conflict with her and a child or her and a subordinate, either at work, somebody who works under her, there's a clash. There's something that keeps her up at night. And if it's not a subordinate at work, then maybe it's with one of her children that she has a concern, about how that's going. Now if that's just by virtue of looking at the cards and kind of getting the gist of what the cards are saying, that's really the real issue that the person is bringing, to the table, particularly if they have no question. These are the kinds of things that I would pick up on. And sometimes, it's exactly correct. Other times, they don't think of it until they go home, or maybe it becomes applicable to their lives in a week. And then all of a sudden, they'll say, holy shit, excuse my French, but they'll say, holy Toledo. Yeah, that was extremely applicable, but it took a week, because eventually the cards will be relevant. If they're not relevant at the moment, they'll be relevant shortly, because the cards represent everyday things. They also represent higher things, but they represent everyday things as well. Now, am I exposing that, that we're charlatans because, the cards will apply to us anyway? No, I don't think I'm a charlatan, because, no more than anyone else who you go to for good advice who could tell you, honey, I don't think that's a good idea, don't do it. Or, I think this is an idea, why don't you try it? They're not charlatans if it doesn't work. It was just advice that was given and that you considered, and it did or didn't work, right? A charlatan is someone who, tries to get money out of you, without providing you with any real benefit. Okay, so let's try the person has a question. And this time the question is, most of the times, let's face it, it's about work, or it's about their love lives. So say the client is a woman, who 9 times out of 10 it is, or 8 times out of 10. I have women clients. And, she is interested in her employer romantically, but it's not going off the ground. She doesn't know much about him. She offers that she doesn't know too much about his private life. She doesn't think he's married, but he might be. Maybe if he's not an employer, he's somebody at work. And we're going on the assumption that the woman, is in, has heterosexual tendencies, that her interest is in a man of a different gender than hers. So I focus on the cards and I think in the way that I described. And I'm not going through all this because the intent, the understanding right now is that this is a demonstration, so I don't have to go through all those meditative steps. And, maybe I'll lay a few cards. So we have a woman who's romantically inclined. So far, it really does, match her question. She is romantically interested in an individual, right? She'd like information. So now we have the Sun card. It looks like it's probably I have to plug my phone in. It was about to die. It's probably a good idea to pursue this relationship, or something good can come from it. I'll give one more card just to clean it up, just see. And this is a money card. So this is the 6 of coins. Now the 6, is a number that relates to the Lover's card, right? And it's the 6 of coins, which reminds us of her workplace. And so I would say, based on her question and these particular cards, that I think this is a relationship that would work out favorably for you. I don't think there are any obstacles that would interfere with that plan. And I think good would come from it, So the woman who's in love is interested in somebody at work. This is reinforced by the 6 of coins and also by the Sun card. Now, if you really wanted to, maybe go a little further with this, you would take the number 19 and the number 6. You would add it. You'd get 25. And that would be, the Pope. And so you would look for the Pope card, which I would say represents, the quintessential message of the reading. So when we get the Pope, and of course it's probably the last card in the spread, so bear with me. I didn't, of course, know what, there's no way of knowing, how it would have worked out. So I couldn't have prepared this in advance or anything like that. Oh, you know what? It's going to, oh, there we go. Okay. So the Pope card, oh, excuse me, 19 and 6 is 25. Oh, no, number 7. That would be the Chariot. Okay, so I put the Chariot. Okay. And the Chariot, again, is a number and a card that suggests moving forward, success, achievement. And so, based on these cards, I would fully endorse the relationship and say, go for it. There doesn't appear to be any obstacles in your way, and if you're able to get it off the ground, I think it could be a healthy and reasonably positive relationship and experience for you. So you see, the cards lend themselves beautifully to apply to, various questions, various conditions, and opportunities. If this wasn't a question about love, and the woman said, I'm thinking about accepting this particular job, what do you think? Again, I would say go for it. We have a woman who maybe is following her passion. It may not be, a romantic thing, but she's following her passion, right? She's interested in something that is offering her a job in that field, right? And we see the sun, and we see the lucrative money card, and we see advancement. So again, this would apply to that question, which is completely different from a relationship with someone on the job, if you see what I'm saying. So the cards have a way of lending themselves to different conditions and situations. And sometimes people, what they come to you for is for validation, or just, encouragement. And sometimes they come because they know that something is not a great idea. They know it. And sometimes, the cards will bear that out. I try to focus on the positive aspects, of picking up the person's vibe. And, sometimes it happens where, when the person, I tap into the person, because my readings are generally remote. I don't typically have people come into my home anymore, and I'm too old to run around and do fairs and psychic events and stuff like that. So people come to me now more than me going to them. Oh, I lost my train of thought. That's embarrassing. If I think of it, I'll after I watch the video again, I'll put it down below. But I hate when that happens, and I do apologize. But at any rate, I'm sure to remember it after I, review the video and get to that part, and then I'll know what my point was, and I'll put it down below. But I hope this has been informative to you. I hope it's encouraged you to understand tarot a little bit better and to be less rattled by it. And until next time, friends, stay well and peace.